What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Adventure Outpost. In today's adventure, we are looking at all of the March releases and seeing just what we are most excited for in the month of March. It's going to be an interesting month. There's not a lot coming out in theaters. It's definitely going to be dominated by the Batman. The large majority of these movies that are coming out are being released straight to streaming. So that's going to be an interesting thing. I wonder if we're going to end up going back to the more theatrical response that we had back in like the 70s and 80s, where you would have a movie in theaters that was in theaters for like months without without much else coming out. Obviously, this wouldn't be the case in the summer and the late fall holiday season, because that's when they tend to release all these big movies. But I'm wondering if in these other months, these low months, like in the winter and the early fall, like August till like right around Halloween, if we're going to start seeing these times now where you might get one or two big movies, but most else just comes out on streaming. Because that's the case here for March. I really think there's only like 2 or 3 like actually big theatrical releases coming out for March, which is surprising because we have 4 weeks and usually you'll get like at least 1 to 2 big movies a week. We're really only getting 3 for the entire month. That is a very interesting thing to experience this month, and it's going to be very exciting to watch the box office and see how that unfolds and see just what goes down here for the month of March. But we are going to go in and rank all of the movies of March by what I am most excited for, starting with our least all the way to the most. And we are going to include our streaming movies as well as our theatrical. And we're just going to dive right in there because coming in at last place, they are Disney. Is the audacity coming in on Disney Plus again. They are remaking Cheaper by the Dozen. That's right. They're coming out with a new take on Cheaper by the Dozen, starring Gabriella Union and Zach Braff. So yeah, that's going to be a movie that I don't think anybody really cares for. I think they just announced it like a few weeks ago too. Like I peruse pretty often to see what comes out for the month, like when we hit into a new month, for what I'm going to be excited for, what I want to watch, planning out my viewing. And this one literally just popped up, I think like a week or 2 ago. So they are that looks like one that they just quietly made. And then they were like, let's just find a spot to dump that shit in. And there we go. It's just more content for Disney Plus. I think that comes out the 3rd week of March. So be on the lookout for that from Disney Plus. Up next is a movie that actually is coming out this weekend, and it is The Batman. Just kidding. The Batman wouldn't be this low on this list, I know, but you almost all shit your pants. No, it is the movie Fresh. It is a Hulu release, releasing straight to streaming, with a woman whose name I cannot pronounce and I will not even try, and Sebastian Stan. It is labeled a comedy thriller. I haven't seen a trailer for it or everything, which is peculiar considering it comes out this weekend. And it is described as a horror comedy thriller. That's already way too many genres. About a woman navigating her dating life with this guy who has some unusual appetites. So I guess that means he's a cannibal. Why you didn't get Armie Hammer for this movie? It's absurd. It's tailor-made for him right there. But that's really all that's known about the movie. I haven't seen a trailer anywhere for it. I don't know anything about it. So it sits this low on this list simply because I really don't know anything about it other than that Sebastian Stan's in it. So obviously we will check it out, but look for it this weekend after you've seen The Batman on Hulu. Up next is a movie from HBO Max that will be releasing at the end of March. It is called Moonshot. This is another movie I know very little about, so it is all the way down here at the list. The reason it's higher than the other two is because it's science fiction, and science fiction is my bread and butter, baby. It stars one of the Sprouse brothers, I think Cole, or I don't know, whichever one still does movies. And it is about him and a buddy of his that sneak onto a spaceship to Mars after Mars has been terraformed so that they can link back up with their significant others. That's about all we know about the movie. I hope it has a little bit more sci-fi thrill to it and not just a romance movie set in a sci-fi landscape, because that would be a little disappointing. But look for it come, I think March 31st it comes out, literally the last day of March, from HBO Max. Next up, Netflix is dropping its first movie called Windfall, which is a movie starring Jesse Plemons, Jason Segel finally back, my man. I've been waiting for you. Although this doesn't look so much like a comedy, so it's going to be interesting to see him doing something that's not a comedy. There is a pretty famous actress in it too, and for some reason I just am blanking on her name right now, even though I just looked at it a few minutes ago. Sorry to that person. It's written by the guy who did Seven, so that's going to be super interesting. And it's about a wealthy couple that come home from vacation to find a dude in the middle of robbing their place. And that's pretty much all you know. Everything else is being kept pretty close to the vest. So we don't know too much plot-wise, but the fact that it's written by the guy who did Seven and stars Jason Segel has me pretty fucking excited. So be on the lookout for that. I think that comes out the third weekend of March. So I'm pretty excited for that one. Up next is another one from Netflix. It is The Adam Project. I know some people are probably a little surprised to see this low on my list, especially considering it's science fiction and it's got Zoe Saldana, the love of my life. But it's also a Ryan Reynolds vehicle, and Ryan Reynolds is very hit or miss for me. I like Ryan Reynolds. I think he's great. I just am getting a little tired of every time you see a movie, it's literally just Ryan Reynolds in a movie. It's getting a little tiring. Not gonna lie. The movie looks fine. It looks like a decent little science fiction movie. I don't know. He's a time traveling pilot who crash lands in 2022 and has to team up with his 12-year-old self to find his father. Yeah. Not a lot to go on there. Interesting, I guess. But I don't know. It's weird. It seems it's good. It'll be interesting. I'm holding reservations until we see it. Hopefully it surprises me. But from what I've seen based on the trailer and the plot description, I'm not as excited for it as I am for other movies. Thus the reason it lands here in kind of like the middle of the pack. Up next is the movie Uma, whose trailer actually dropped the other day. So it just made this list, literally, because they just announced it. But it looks like a horror movie with Sandra Oh, where she works on like a bee farm out in the middle of nowhere with her daughter. And then one day somebody shows up with like the urn and ashes of her mother. And I guess she had some falling out with her mother and some really crazy shit that went down with her mother that her daughter didn't want her to know about. And pretty soon some creepy shit starts going around in the house, leading to believe that there is more to the Sandra Oh's character than meets the eye. It looks like it could be like a neat little horror movie. I liked the trailer. It seemed interesting enough and had enough beats in it that it piqued my interest. So I'm excited for it. I think it could go either way. It's one of those movies where it's like the trailer was just a good trailer and the movie's garbage, or it was just an appetite of the goodness to come. Remaining hopeful, but it also sits here in the middle of the pack because it could go either way. Up next is the movie The Outfit. I think this is actually our first actual theatrical release movie that's coming out. Uma before that is actually coming out in theaters, but we're finally actually getting into movies that are released in theaters. And that is the movie called The Outfit. I haven't seen a trailer for it yet, but based on the plot description, it was enough to put it up here along with the cast because it's right in my wheelhouse of movies that I like, which is gangster movies. It is about a tailor in Chicago who makes suits for a family of vicious gangsters and the world that he gets roped up to. With that, I think that sounds pretty dope and could be very interesting. There might actually even be a trailer out there right now, and I just haven't seen it anywhere because they didn't advertise a lot for it. But it was enough to hit it up here because I love Mark Rylance. I think he's a phenomenal fucking character actor. And so Mark Rylance in gangster movie, like, yeah, you got me. I'm in. Let's do it. Dropping in next is the Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock action comedy, The Lost City. This movie looks pretty fun. Looks very inventive. Looks like it's going to be a good twist on the action adventure comedy type movie. It looks very reminiscent of Jewel of the Nile and Romancing the Stone. So two adventure movies that I really fucking love. So I like that a movie is coming along like that hopefully will pay homage to it, but not be too on the nose with its homages. Like, don't reference the movies in that movie, please. For fuck's sake, just don't do it. If the character mentions the word Romancing the Stone in this movie, I'll be out immediately. But the movie looks like a lot of fun. Channing Tatum is great in comedy movies. That he knows exactly how to utilize his talents. He is fucking phenomenal in them. Sandra Bullock is another powerhouse actress. She's going to bring some great caliber to it. Like, you know, she's always up to play. Um, the Brad Pitt cameo looks fucking hilarious. And I could already tell, like, that scene where, like, he rescues them, I can't wait to see the brutal way that he's going to be murdered for laughs, like, 2 minutes after that. Like, it's coming. I'm calling it right now. And freaking Daniel Radcliffe is the villain, like, top notch, man. Daniel Radcliffe is one of the most interesting actors working today. He always picks great roles that utilize his talents well. So it's super exciting to get to see him in, like, a big movie again like this, and he's playing the villain. So that's going to be, like, a lot of fun. The most mind-fucked movie comes in next. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I am super fucking excited for this movie. From this movie till our number one spot, all of these movies I am super fucking excited for. This one especially looks like an absolute fucking trip. I love movies that deal with, like, consciousness and time travel and multiple planes of reality and shit like that. That is my fucking bread and butter. I am super excited for this movie, which shows a Asian woman as she drifts between realities of her consciousness into different multiversions of herself, and just the insanity that she gets roped up to. And with that, it looks fucking balls to the walls, insane, and I cannot wait for it. Ever since that first trailer that I saw for it, I was like, this movie is going to be fucking bananas, and I can't wait for it. The sultry erotic thriller finally got its release date. Ben Affleck, Ana de Armas, Deep Waters, baby. I was super excited for this back in the beginning of January when it was supposed to be coming out, and then they took it off the release board, and I was like, no! I was so fucking pumped for it because the director, Adrian Lin, who hasn't made a movie since Unfaithful, it's a fucking phenomenal psychological thriller director. Like, and he toes those lines of, like, erotic thrillers so well that it was like, I was so pumped that not only was he coming back, but that he's doing one with Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas. Like, I am so fucking pumped for this movie. I love that I know virtually nothing about it other than those facts, that it's an erotic thriller. It stars those two powerhouse actors and Adrian Lin is directing. And that's all I need for it to place this high. Like, I am super fucking excited for it. It comes from Hulu. I think it's the third week of March that it's coming out, so you can bet your ass I'll be there day one, ready to fucking watch that shit. Number 3 is the latest movie from Pixar, and that is Turning Red. Anytime Pixar is dropping a movie, I'm first in line, baby. They can do no wrong in my book. Everything they do is gold. I love whenever they're telling a unique story. So I'm super excited for this one because it is a unique story. Everything they do is just always so phenomenal and heartwarming and fun, and exciting. It is an absolute disservice that the last 3 Pixar movies have been relegated to Disney Plus. I know they don't have the balls to do it with Lightyear because it's already got its IMAX release and Toy Story is their bread and butter. But still, it would have been nice to have gotten this one in on the big screen and to see it do some money, because you know Pixar movies will do some fucking money, baby. But, you know, I get it. You want to pad out your Disney Plus content subscribers. You got to bump up those numbers. So I get it. I get what you're doing. I don't agree with it, but I get it. So it comes out second week of March, I think. So I am super excited to finally get that one, and finally have another Pixar movie to watch. Number 2 is dun, 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 dun. That's right. It's The Batman coming in at number 2. I am super pumped for this movie, mostly because it's got Robert Pattinson as the Batman, who I think, based on movies that he's done lately, like Lighthouse and everything, I think he's going to be a phenomenal Batman. I think he's going to do the brooding emo Batman phenomenally well. And it's made by Matt Reeves, who made my favorite Planet of the Apes movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So I think it is going to be a powerhouse. It's going to be a slam dunk. Paul Dano as the Riddler too, phenomenal. Zoe Kravitz, Catwoman, are going to be so good. Freaking Colin Farrell as Cobblepot. And the cast is stacked. The aesthetic for the movie looks fucking phenomenal. This is a movie that just looks like to be firing on all cylinders. The only thing that keeps it from number 1 for me is the fact that it has a 3-hour runtime, which I know what most people are saying. It's like, wouldn't you want as much Batman as possible? No, I wouldn't. There's no reason on earth for a Batman movie to be longer than Titanic. It just doesn't have to be a thing. It's ridiculous. I don't want to complain because I'm super excited for this movie. And I'm going in hoping that the 3 hours are just race fucking by and that it proves me wrong, that it was like, nope, that needs to be 3 hours. So hopefully that does the trick. But there can only be one motherfucking number one most excited movie for March. And that movie is X. From the moment I saw the trailer for this movie looks like a fucking trip. I am super excited for it. I think it's going to be one of those movies that's going to absolutely fuck with your head. I love the idea that it starts off like fun. It's got the Fog Hat song ripping through it. Like it looks like it's going to be like they're going out filming a porno out there doing whatever. And then even as they're talking about filming it, where they're like, you think it's one thing and then it turns into another thing. And you see how just like the trailer just changes on you like that. I think this movie is going to play with genre very well. I think this movie is going to be a wild trip that is going to be equal parts thrilling, violently scary at times, but also have some great moments of comedy, I think, in it. Stacked cast in it as well. This movie just looks so fucking fun and exciting, and is easily my number one most excited movie for the month of March. And that's my list. There's a decent amount of movies coming out. A lot of streaming movies this month for us. You don't even have to leave the comfort of your own home to watch. And a lot of decent movies coming out in theaters. I implore all of you to go out, go to your local theater, go see movies again. It's safe. Don't you worry. We are way past the time where you should be worrying about going to the theater. I run a movie theater. I've been in there since we've been able to be back. And I can promise you that you will not get it at a theater. You will be safe. There is no reason to fear going to a movie theater. I know most of you are probably not going because you're just like, the movies aren't really worth it. But trust me, it is always worth going to the movies, seeing a movie. Ignore it when it's the busy times. Friday, Saturday nights, fuck that. Nobody wants to go to a movie on Friday, Saturday nights. Pick your weekdays, baby. You get your good deals on the weekdays. You see a movie for $6 on Tuesday. Do it. Go to the movies. So that'll do it for us all here at the Adventure Outpost. Look to it through March as we see these movies come out and we see how these movies stacked up. And then look forward at the end of March where we rank up and we see if any of these movies all landed in their spots that they should have and how well they all did. But until that day, you have been you, I have been me. These are the movies that we love so much. And until next time, adventure on.